You're watching MMA Oddsbreaker, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of our interviewing segments this week. We're talking with Josh Burkman, who's getting ready to fight in the World Series of Fighting against Jon Fitch here on June 14th. That's next week, Friday. Josh, when they signed Fitch, you said he needed to fight a couple fights, win a couple fights before he had a shot at you. Didn't work out that way, obviously. Everybody kind of knew.
Yeah.
The World Series of Fighting doesn't have that deep a roster. You know, they just don't have it yet.
Right.
They're a new organization. So we all knew it was going to happen right away. Did you kind of get that feeling, too, that they were going to just dump him on you as soon as possible?
You know, I figured that the winner of the fight was going to end up fighting Jon Fitch, and I was actually really excited about it. I wanted that fight. You know, me saying that, I wasn't really saying Fitch needs to earn a spot to get to me. You know, what I was saying more was that I would like Fitch to beat somebody up so that we can fight for a title. And
Gotcha.
The main reason for that is I manage myself and I read my contracts. And in my contract, there's a championship clause that pays me a bit more money.
Oh,
so
okay.
I wanted to start talking about the title so that we can eventually get to that championship clause. So, and I figured somebody needed to start the talk. Why shouldn't it be me? I feel like I was the best fighter in the place after that win to Aaron Simpson to at least be able to bring it up.
That's actually a really big deal. Most people don't realize that there are championship clauses, and depending on the organization, there's pay-per-view numbers, and the champs get
Right.
more benefits because you're the champ. Not only do you hold the belt, but you hold a lot more of the power. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
How much more money are we talking about? Are we talking about 50% more, 1,000% more? Like, how much more money are we talking?
You know, I mean, in the contract, it ends up being, tens of thousands of dollars throughout the fights,
Wow.
To where you get an increase in your next fight, and then you get, a difference from going up from just per fight going up $4,000 a fight to going up starting to go up tens of thousands of dollars a fight, So that's over a 4-fight deal, that could be $70,000 or so, you know what I mean, depending on. So, it didn't even, Fitch, you got to work your way to me. Jon Fitch is Jon Fitch. He's a top 10 guy. He definitely, that's not why I was saying it.
That makes sense. I'm glad you clarified that, because a lot of people at home don't know that there are these huge contracts for the champs. It's a lot more money.
Right.
Over 4 fights.
And I manage myself, and so I got to start those talks. And what ended up happening from it is the World Series management, Ali, Ray Cephas said, hey, we told the fans this fight was going to happen. We don't have a really deep roster. It's too soon to have a title fight, but we want this fight to happen. What do we need to do for you to make it happen? And they gave me a nice raise and a new contract, and I said, let's do it.
Wow, that's good. Okay, so it did kind of work out, but not really work. I mean, obviously, it'd be much better to be for a title run, but they seem to be taking care of their athletes over there. With the way that the World Series of Fighting is going, how they're promoting these fights, how they're pushing themselves, do you think the World Series of Fighting will be able to maintain and handle in this, especially with how fast MMA is growing as a whole? Do you think they're going to be able to keep up?
Right. I do. I think that the World Series of Fighting has some intelligent people running their, just managing the show. I think that there's good people in the right spots, and I think they came out pretty aggressively, but I think they're making the right moves. Again, with NBC, that brings in, lucrative sponsors, and I think they're doing it right, but they're not being too aggressive. Much money, but a guy like Fitch, they go out and get him, so I think they're making the right moves, and I think that the World Series of Fighting is going to be around for a while and do really well, and they treat their fighters really good. And it seems like the fighters are happy, and you treat your employees good, your business is going to do well, and I think that's one of those things in this sport right now where fighters kind of are, a lot of the times not feeling like they're being taken care of. So I think as long as they do that with the deals that they have, World Series of Fighting is going to be around for a while.
There's been a lot of talk of unions. They're talking about fighters who don't feel like they're being taken care of. There's been a lot of talk in the last week or so about fighters' union. What's your personal opinion on a fighters' union?
I think that most organizations want unions to protect the employees and things like that. My father's in a union, and I've talked to him about it. I know other athletes that are in their unions. For fighting, it's going to be tough to set up a union because the guys at the top don't want to pass out their money, and they're pretty well taken care of. and so it's going to take a very smart system to pull that together. You know, I think it'd be great for fighters, but you know, there's a reason boxing, you know, probably hasn't been able to do it. Mixed martial arts, it's going to be tough, and you know, I think a way to do it possibly would be to, you know, you got to have some good attorneys and some good people sitting around your table, and you got to go out. And I think if fighters really wanted to do it, there's a group of very popular athletes, mixed martial artists, that come off those Ultimate Fighter TV shows that get pushed to a side. And maybe you could go out and make a scheme for them, a plan for them to be successful, and that's how you could pull a lot of, you know, people into it. And then you'd have to grab the up and comers and build from the ground up, I believe, you know. But I think just trying to grab, you know, these top fighters, you know, and bring them in, I think it would be tough to do that, you know, with the UFC and things like that. It'd be hard.
Yeah, I really think because, you know, like the GSP came out and said he makes like between $4 and $6 million every time he fights. You're not going to get him to join a union because he'll drop down to $2 to $3 million. Now, to us, that's a lot of stinking money. $2 to $3 million is still a lot of money, but to him, it's 50% of what he was making. He's not going to jump into a union because he's being taken care of so well. I believe your way is the better way. We're going to have to grab guys who are being kind of disrespected that come off TV shows or have a good run and all of a sudden get thrown to the side. And then they're going to start going, hey, look, let's talk about this union. And remember, you know, Fitch and Volkman are two of the biggest names right now talking about this fighters union. And it is something that's interesting that's going to happen, but I really don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So it'll be long after the guys that are in there right now. Like probably after, you know, by the time that you retire, before they even really have a real serious conversation about it, is my belief. I think it's going to happen, but it's going to be years before it happens. So, well, let's move on and talk about the real reason. Go ahead.
I agree 100%. You know, I think it's something that people have to, you know, put some posts down and really build it for a few years. And, you know, and I think you got to have a smart plan to how to go about it. Like you said, you know, it's going to be tough to grab guys like George St. Pierre and those guys that are good with the main bosses. And, you know, they're not going to piss nobody off. They're not going to get rid of their money at the best part of their careers.
Let's talk about Jon Fitch real quick. What does he bring to the table as an opponent that you haven't seen yet in any one of your other opponents?
You know, just the caliber of fights that he's had and the battles that he's been in make for a very tough competitor. You know, Jon Fitch is the toughest, most experienced guy, you know, that I'm going to be fighting to date. So, you know, those title fights and just being in the mix of a group of fighters in the top 10 fighters in the world, that makes you battle hardened and battle ready, you know. And so just that gritty veteran that Fitch is, I think that's something that he brings to the table that nobody else brings to the table, and I think that you know, that adds a lot to a fighter's character.
How important is this to get a victory for you, and what's that mean? If you get a victory over Jon Fitch, where does this put you in the ranking then worldwide of all the welterweights?
You know, when I was in the end of my UFC career, I was injured. You know, I had herniated disc in my back, I had a bulging disc in my back. You were at Extreme Couture about the same time that I was getting ready to go out, and you never saw me sparring. And it's because of my back. I wasn't able to wrestle. I wasn't able to do certain things, but I was still fighting, you know. And, you know, I'm judged in my career on those last few fights, and I wasn't able to train like a professional fighter in the UFC should train. And for me, I took a year off. I got as healthy as I could, and this whole road is about just coming back and being as good as I can be, you know, and in that, you know, I get to fight a guy that's a perennial top 10 guy in Jon Fitch, and for me it'll mean a lot because it's a comeback, you know, from when people told me my doctors told me I shouldn't be fighting anymore. You know, I had injuries that have ended other fighters' careers, so it's just is success to me in itself, you know, and winning this fight. You know, I believe that it opens up a lot of eyes to you know, my potential and the potential of my ability in the years to come, because I truly believe that my best years are right in front of me, you know, and being Jon Fitch will be a huge step in breaking back into the top welterweights in the world.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Josh Burkman. He's getting ready to fight Jon Fitch on June 14th, World Series of Fighting. Of course, if you're not in Vegas, I'll actually be there ringside for this one. I'm bringing my girlfriend and my daughter with me. But if you're not in Vegas, you'll be able to watch it on NBC Sports, which actually has all the sports that I kind of want to watch. I watch cycling and I watch fighting, so I'm on NBC Sport now all the time. That's all I'm watching. So. Josh, good luck next week against John. When do you get in town? When do you get in Vegas?
I'm in Utah now, and so I'm going to drive in on Tuesday. I'm going to train Tuesday morning, and then I'm going to drive in. So I'll get there Tuesday night, and that's when I'll get in and start cutting weight and getting ready.
What time of weigh-ins on Thursday?
I believe we got to step on the scale at 4:00 on Thursday.
Okay, so typical afternoon time, just a day earlier than normal.
Yeah, sometimes there's a few hiccups because it's a new show, but it should go nice and smooth by now.
Yeah, they're doing all right, but this is their third event, so by now they should have all those little kinks worked out as far as weigh-ins go, and it should be right on time.
Yeah, everybody out there, you guys, support this show. This competition's good for these other organizations, and it's good to have mixed martial arts on a network like NBC Sports. So watch me and Fitch fight. Like I say, it's good for the sport, and we need it. We need the support. So.